Hello there, YouTube. Friday, went to see Solo, and if you have watched the previous video, you'll know that I made a point about franchise movies and how they should really stand alone. So I went out, I did a little mental experiment. I pretended that Star Wars didn't exist, that there was no large Disney franchise called Star Wars. Han Solo had never been played by anyone else, and this was just going to be a sci-fi film set in space. And I watched it and very quickly realised that it was a heist movie set in space. It was Mad Max with blasters. It was a cowboy film with rocket ships. It was a heist movie in space. And I decided what I took away from it as far as what I knew about the character Han Solo. Han Solo is somebody who has the right intentions but doesn't know how to go about them. He sees himself as a bandit, as an outlaw, as a renegade, and actually when push comes to shove, he's going to do the thing that least makes him a renegade, least makes him far more of a, makes him a little more heroic than maybe he'd even want to be. He can be self-centered, he can be boastful and all the rest of it. He's a chancer, and he's in a universe where you have this all-encompassing empire whose only purpose is to recruit people and make them invade places that aren't empire. And after the empire goes, after their claims that they want to bring peace and unity, all you get is the syndicates and the backgangsters and the backstabbers. They come in. The crooks and the slavers follow the empire like seagulls after fish and chips. They really do. And in this world, he's trying to make his way. And I kind of liked it. It wasn't the greatest sci-fi film I've ever seen, but it definitely isn't the worst. As far as a Star Wars film goes, though, that's its downfall. That's its problem. Is that everybody's going to watch this with Harrison Ford in the back of their heads, with how Han has been portrayed since the 70s, and they're going to go, no, he isn't Harrison Ford, he isn't this, he isn't that, and Lando Calrissian isn't Lando Calrissian, and that's where it falls down. I think if it was the start of its own thing, I think people would go and see the next movie. Just see what happens. But that's the problem with these things, as I said. They have to be made self-contained, but how can you make a self-contained franchise film? Because you want people to watch when you've got all these other films, and decent films are self-contained, even if they're part of a wider franchise. The original Star Wars was a self-contained film. What we now have to call a New Hope. The original Star Wars was a self-contained film that turned into a trilogy. Empire is only really good because the way it picks up and leaves off from where it is means that you can watch it and be hungry for the next one, but at the same time you're satisfied that you've had a film and a narrative you can follow. Same with Jedi to a certain extent. And it's how do you do these pickups and layoffs of films and make them self-contained, give just enough of a tease to make the person watch the next film, but not enough of a tease that they not too much, just enough of a tease so watching this film, but not enough sort of like spoiler for the next film, not so you think that that film ended awkwardly. Force Awakens ended like that. There should have been a line at the end, or it should have ended with the spaceship going off to find Luke Skywalker. You know, that's how it should have ended. But it didn't. And, you know, I like the film. As a self-contained film, it works. It really does. But everybody's going to compare this with everything that's gone before. And that's its downfall. That's downfall. A lot of these films, they're always going to be seen as the follow-on to da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's a film that I'm glad I went and go and see in the cinema and didn't wait until it was out on a streaming. It's a film that I'm very glad that I didn't sit there and go, well, you know, all critics have said that it's terrible. It's enjoyable. It's not genius. It's not great, but it's worth a ticket. It's an evening. You know, it's not a waste of your time. And it's a terrible thing to say about me. It's fun. Go and watch it, but it's, you haven't already, you should have already seen it. If I'm getting so behind my films, if I've seen it, you haven't, you're well beyond with your films. But yeah, it suffers something. It's part of a bigger franchise. Well, like if you like this, subscribe if you really like this. Okay. See you then. Bye.